For this next part, we're going to be converting between radians and degrees and vice versa. So if we're converting from degrees to radians, we're going to take multiply the degrees and multiply by pi radians over 180 degrees. To go the other direction, we're just going to flip that fraction over. To convert from radians to degrees, we're going to multiply radians by 180 degrees over pi. So in general, the biggest thing is pi radians equals 180 degrees. Everything is based off of that. So taking a look at these examples down here, I want us to do all 6 of these. We're going to do probably 2 of them right now, and then I'll have you do the other 2 alone. Pi radians, this one right here, is the same as 180 degrees. It's half of a circle. Now everything else is related to that. So like pi over 6, that one in the upper left there, if we do pi over 6 times 180 degrees over pi. I typically don't write the radians there because the radians are going to cancel out, but the pi's cancel out and we're essentially left with 180 over 6, so 180 degrees over 6, which is 30 degrees. So I want you to pause the video and do the other 4 remaining ones here. And we're back. Going through this quickly, pi over 4, that's 45 degrees. Pi over 3, that's 60 degrees. Pi over 2, that's 90 degrees. Pi, we already did, is 180 degrees. And 2 pi, that's a full circle, that's 360 degrees. Those are some common ones. Get familiar with those, get used to those. Other ones that we're going to deal with, especially like unit circle stuff, are related to those. We're going to base everything else off of that. Bottom part here, going in the opposite direction. So instead of multiplying everything by 180 degrees over pi, we're going to multiply by pi over 180. So we're going to take 135, multiply by pi over 180. And I'm going to put the degree symbol there because the math and science nerd in me wants to just cancel those out because it's satisfying. So we end up with 135 pi over 180. Keep in mind when you're multiplying fractions, it's really 135 over 1. Now 135 and 180 are both divisible by 45. So if I divide the numerator and denominator by 45, we end up with 3 pi over 4. So that's a pretty nice fraction. Take a moment, try the other ones on your own, and I'll come back and I'll show you the work for those. Okay, you paused, you clearly did it. We're going to multiply 540 by pi over 180. And then, again, I'm just going to not write the degrees this time. But 540 and 180, so if we put 540 over 1, 540 and 180, well, 540 divided by 180 is 3. So if we divide both of those by 180, we end up with 3 over 1 times pi over 1, which just gives us 3 pi. Negative 270 degrees, we're going to do the same thing, multiply by pi over 180. 270 and 180, we can both divide those by 90. So this one ends up being negative 3, and this one ends up being 2. So we end up with negative 3 pi, over 2. 60 degrees, that's one we saw a little bit ago, but just going through the process, multiply by pi over 180. 60 and 180 are both divisible by 60, so we get a 1 and a 3, so this ends up just being pi over 3. 94 multiplied by pi over 180. Well, not a whole lot of common factors between 90 and 180, so let's divide both of those by 2. We get 47 and 90. So we have 47 pi over 90. Last one. 23,490, of course. So we multiply by pi over 180. Folks, take a random stab in the dark. I'm going to divide both those by 90. When I divide both of those by 90, we end up with, let's see, 23,490. I have this written down somewhere. It's 261 pi over, well, 180 divided by 90. I can do that. That's 2.